Hello guys, welcome to a potentially new weekly live show. We obviously do these every single week, normally called Touchline Talk. We focus on what's going on in the world of City. This is a new idea, potentially. We'll be trialing it today. If you guys enjoy it, we'll do more of it, so please give me your feedback. It's got a great name, you know how I work. It's always alliterated names. Rival, Rundown. It's basically where through, I suppose, a City lens, we look at the happenings and the goings on of City's rivals across the season. So this gives us an opportunity to discuss other teams, not just City, but again through the perspective of a City fan. So if you're a City fan, you'll obviously still enjoy these shows. Don't worry about that. But if you are a non-City fan, like, you know, particularly Arsenal, Liverpool, as we will discuss today, I think you'll enjoy these as well, because I'll try to discuss your guys' tactics, team setups, etc. throughout the season. But also, if you're just a general football fan, hopefully you will like it. Obviously, breaking news around an hour or so ago, maybe a little bit longer. Oscar Bob has broken his leg. Incredibly horrible accident or whatever happened. Certainly a horrible injury. I'm not really going to be discussing that in this stream. To be honest, there isn't really much to discuss. To put it bluntly, he has broken his leg. It's a horrible thing. It's not really something that I think is... I don't think there's anything further to expand upon outside of how does City squad now cope, which I think we could talk about either in tomorrow or the day after when we're doing a touchline talk. So have you taken stuff off your wall? No, I have not. This space has always been blank, if that's what you're referring to, Jack. So yeah, we'll discuss that, because basically I tweeted about it. The Bob injury basically creates an even larger Bruno Guimaraes shaped hole. So that is now essential. But again, we can maybe discuss that another day. Specifically, in fact, what day are we going to be doing that? We are going to be doing that. I think it will be tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow at 10 p.m. we're going to do a touchline talk where we will at length discuss the Oscar Bob injury, what it means in terms of the squad, in terms of, you know, how does it potentially impact City's play. And our staff, he says, obviously, ultimately, this is all quite trivial at the end of the day, because it's obviously a very awful injury. I just hope the long term for him as a professional in terms of his career isn't too badly detrimental. But again, yeah, speedy wishes to speedy recovery wishes to Oscar Bob. Hope he recovers soon. More importantly, I don't really care about the short term from his career perspective. If he's out for like 3 months, then so be it. It's more so how will he be able to cope when he comes back from injury? Will he still trust that leg? Will it be a recurring issue? Like, will he always feel pain there, etc.? That's the real question for me. He'll come back from the injury. City can cope without Bob for a few months, despite however many minutes we thought he was going to get. Again, it's more the long-term thing in terms of his career. This is also a Q&A show, by the way, guys. So do feel free to get involved in the chat. Hello, Ayushi. Lovely to see you, mate. Do you reckon City go for Rodrigo? I think the hole is the same. Bruno or Water, yeah, it is that same shaped hole for sure. That is a thing. Big up to you, Stephen. Hello, Mario. Muha. Exactly, Muha. Yeah, but it's alliterated names. Exactly. Touchline talk, but with a rival perspective, hence the new name Rival. Rundown. And me too, Lee. Absolutely. As I say, we can touch on him throughout the stream, but again, I think the main thing I do want to discuss is the main topic of today's stream, which obviously what we weren't going to mention Oscar Bob at all, but we have done due to the injury. So I think let's do that now, shall we? Let's park the Oscar Bob stuff just for a moment. We can maybe talk about that at the end of the stream with a Q&A section, and we'll talk about it at length in tomorrow's show. But for now, there's only so much that I can say. He's got a broken leg. You know what I mean? So I felt like let's move on and talk about stuff which is more pressing in terms of like what can actually potentially develop and what can be discussed. I'm now going to go over there to my tactics board, and we are going to assess the rival situation, because this is Rival Rundown. Keep your comments coming in the chat, guys. As you are coming into the stream, by the way, please make sure to leave a like on the video, because it does really help me out, and it is free. So we're going to go over there now. I always like to make sure it works, and indeed it has, and I've not turned my lights on. So that would help, wouldn't it, if I turned both of my lights on? So let me just do that for you guys right now. And as I'm doing that, let's just take a look at my beautiful tactical board. As I say, I'm just popping a light on, so my face, I can actually show it to you guys in real time. Oh yeah, I can control it from my phone. That's how good I am. I can still see your comments, by the way, chaps. So do feel free to keep messaging. I should have probably put it on that monitor, to be honest, but I didn't. So that's a thing. I can just pop it there, though, can't I? Guys, as always, tactics board is here. Now, what I have on the left is Liverpool, I think I want to touch on first. On the right, we obviously have the Arsenal, the arse. The players on the pitch, what I want to take this stream as an opportunity to do is just discuss how we think both of these sides will set up next season, what will be their strengths and weaknesses, obviously, in the context of a title race and a Manchester City perspective. These are basically the players who I think are guarantees to start. In fact, I will move the chat there. Just one moment, guys. Just, you're about to see the chat on your screen. Don't panic. There we go. Lovely. That's all sorted. That's much better. Now I can see you guys properly. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. I'm much happier now. So I say on the left, we've got Liverpool, on the right, Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool's starting 11 is going to comprise more than 4 outfield players. I clicked the wrong button. I'm such an idiot. I'm just getting used to this new setup. Apologies, guys. So, oh gosh, yeah, it's all kicking off. There we go, we're back. I've only included the players who are guarantees, essentially. So obviously Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, Salah, Mac, 10. Liverpool are certainly the more interesting side from a tactical perspective, but the less interesting side from a title race perspective. So we will spend a lot more time on Arsenal, because let's all be honest, guys. Liverpool, Arsenal are the main title threats to City rather than Liverpool. No disrespect to Liverpool, they're a good side, but the harsh reality from a Liverpool perspective, as we will discuss, is, as of yet, and I can only really discuss it as what we know now, is that they still haven't really signed that defensive midfielder who we know they've needed for like 3 years now. And also, they've got a new manager, which sounds trivial, but there aren't many managers who have won the league first time of asking, coming into their first Premier League season in their first year at their new club. Who did it? Conte did it. Mourinho did it. And Ancelotti did it. And Pellegrini did it. I think there's only 4. I think those are the only 4 examples. Pep didn't do it. Klopp didn't do it. Wenger didn't do it. Fergie didn't win the title in his first year of United either. Dalglish didn't do it with Blackburn. So it's not easy to do. So I really do think that Liverpool will basically not really be involved in the title race come the end of the season. I'm talking about, like the last, I don't know, they won't be there in the last 2 games, etc. So, now this is according to Tom Little. So if I get anything wrong here, re Liverpool setup and how they play, blame Tom Little, yes, because he's tried to tell me a little bit about how Slot plays, because I've not watched any Liverpool preseason, obviously. Now, we are going to now construct the side. So, I think that we can... controversial. I actually think there will be that will be the main front three. I don't know if I think Jota might be used more so than Darwin. We'll just fill in the defense for now, because the midfield is the more interesting thing. Let's just pop Quanta in there for now. So how many more players do I need? So I need 2 more players. Okay, right. So how Slot, allegedly, according to Tom Little again, wants to play is that there is so much emphasis on the midfielders, particularly the middle 2, or whatever phrase you want to say there, being very good in respect of being press resistant, in respect of receiving on the half turn, in respect of receiving the ball under. So you receive from the goalkeeper or a defender under pressure, you turn, you advance your team up the pitch. It's basically what Rodri does for Manchester City. It's what, to use a more recent example, it's what a lot of people criticise Rice for not being able to do. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant. That's what people say. Liam, it's just for example. Fine, I'll put Robertson in then if you don't want Gomez there. That's fine. So a lot of burden is going to be placed on McAllister. Now, McAllister can do that, and he can do that very well. So the question is, who does he get partnered with? Because in theory, what would have happened, let's just say we will pop in Endo for now, and it doesn't really matter who else. Just for argument's sake, we'll say Curtis Jones. Definitely not Phillips. Exactly, C. Heaven. That's exactly right. So it means that, so if we're to assume, no, in fact, let's have a more adventurous midfielder there. Let's say that, for example. Let's have it actually more something like that. Not necessarily like that, but something a bit more like that. So the idea would be that the emphasis would be on these 2 players here, as I say, in being able to pick up the ball from the defender's turn and get their team up the pitch. Hello, Justin. How are you doing? Again, McAllister can do that. The question marks over whether Endo can do that. I know that recently there were rumours that, maybe Soboslai could do that, Gravenberch, etc. Now, from an in-possession perspective, I don't think that's really necessarily going to be an issue for Liverpool. I don't think they will struggle that much, because let's say, for example, you did have, Soboslai there and or Jones there. I think that as an in-possession midfield, I don't really see that being much of an issue. I think they could do that. The benefit then would be that you are building up, again, this is what Tom Little's told me, you're building up very deep. You are forcing the opponents to come at you. You're almost inviting them to come at you. You're inviting pressure in a way. And then what that does is it potentially utilises, we could actually have Darwin on the pitch here, because that would actually make a lot of sense. You are utilising your very aggressive transitional players in respect of, Núñez, Salah, maybe even Diaz, if he is on the pitch. So it's sort of like a mix between what Klopp started his Liverpool tenure as, in terms of the heavy metal football, high pressing, high work rate all the time, relying on counter-attacks a lot. The difference being it's a bit more measured, because if you have a look at Liverpool's selection of midfielders, we can even include Bajcetic and a Harvey Elliott in here. Liverpool's midfield has gone from what was very I need to find the right terms here to be not disrespectful, industrious, efficient, intense, in respect of, Henderson, Wijnaldum, maybe not players you would associate with being like the most technically gifted, though. Again, not a slight on them from a technical perspective, but it's a big contrast to the players that Liverpool have in their midfield right now. And this is obviously what Klopp was doing last season, moving away from the more high-intensity, high-pressing midfield situation, having the midfielders be more creators, and again, more technical players, etc. So that is the benefit. Because you can't do heavy metal football all the time, because as we established with Klopp's Liverpool, you will burn out, and you will and your players will die, essentially. So it gets the best out of Liverpool's attackers, maybe, in terms of, again, those transitional threats. But at the same time, you can place more emphasis on your more technical midfield. So again, I don't really see this being as a poor... Let's say Liverpool do no more transfer business, right? No Zubimendi comes in, no 6. I don't think this is a very good team in terms of on ball. My main issue, however, I actually don't know how Slot sets up defensively. Maybe someone in the chat could tell me. I don't know whether it's a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. For argument's sake, we will say it's a 4-3-3. I just have question marks from an out-of-possession perspective and maybe being caught on the counter-attack themselves perspective. There is not, in my opinion, enough defensive steel in that current midfield 3. I know McAllister did well in the 6 role last season, but there were times where defensively he was caught out. It's not his fault. He's an 8, not his mates who can fill in as a 6 rather than someone who is a 6 out and out. So I just personally think that this is, again, whilst I don't think it's necessarily an on-ball issue, I think that off-ball, that might be where it raises some questions. So that's why I don't really consider Liverpool to be that big of a title threat for City this season. You'll be happy to hear. It's not just the squad. It's also the fact that there is a new manager with a new style of play. Very different to what Klopp was doing, again, from what I understand about Slot. So does that translate to a title challenging team, a title challenging combination? In my opinion, the answer to that is no. So I think Liverpool will be, just very briefly doing some Premier League predictions here, I think Liverpool will finish 3rd, and they'll be comfortably 3rd, like they'll be a decent amount of points ahead of 4th, but I think come like the sort of last game, second to last game of the season, they will mathematically be out of the title race, maybe even slightly sooner than that. There won't be a massive drop-off. I know some people have been predicting Liverpool to finish 6th, etc. I think that's a little bit mental. So they will be there. Respect the shirt, by the way. Respect the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't really want to spend too much time on Liverpool. We will obviously keep track of them as the season goes on. But I do just have my question marks. Lots of Liverpool fans dissatisfied with Robertson. Quansah is still a very young player. Konate's injury record maybe not ideal. Trent is fantastic, of course he is. Salah is aging, but he's still fantastic. Don't quite know what the front 3 is going to be. As I say, I think it could be something like that. That might be quite nice and fluid. Fuskan says last year they should have never been that close. And that raises a very good point, because for the majority of last season, Liverpool were almost relying on moments, and they were relying on individual quality to a large extent, because they scored far more goals than they should have scored. And a lot of that was down to some really excellent finishing and goals, particularly from Jota, Salah, even Trent, etc., with his creativity. But the underlying numbers in the first 2/3 of the season told us that Liverpool should not have scored as many goals as they did, and also they should have conceded more than they did. But when you've got Alisson in goal, and you've got finishers like Salah, in fairness, you are expected to outperform your expected figures. But can that happen? But as we saw, it didn't happen throughout the entirety of the season. The last third or so of the season, or certainly the last 10 games, they sort of fell off a little bit. So can they replicate that with a brand new manager without a balanced midfield? I personally doubt it. But I'm totally willing to be proven wrong there. But certainly from a City perspective, let me know what you guys think in the chat. Where do you think Liverpool are going to finish? I personally think 3rd. Again, from a City viewing this through a City lens, I don't really consider Liverpool to be the main title challenger. I also didn't consider them to be that last season, and they proved me wrong in terms of how far they took it. So maybe they can prove me wrong yet again. Liam, who is a Liverpool fan, says, out of possession is a lot less risky than Klopp was. The defence seems to be more solid, even without the 6. Rawson, after a destroy 6, more of a good in-possession profile. Absolutely. Obviously, you still need that defensive steel. But yeah, as we discussed with the in-possession thing, you do need the midfielders to be comfortable on the ball, comfortable receiving it, with the back to play, etc., etc. Again, this is what Rodri does all the time for City, and even Stones when he goes into those position. So it'll be interesting to see if he's a lot less risky and more defensively. So it sounds like you're describing a more defensive manager there, Liam. Will that impact Liverpool's attack? Will it detriment them going forwards? I'm not so sure, but we shall see. Jack says they stay in the top 4 bar any major injuries and no signs. Yeah, I think third is pretty reasonable, to be honest. Let's now discuss Arsenal's team, shall we? Could we also try to get to 50 likes on the YouTube, please? Thank you, guys. That would be our first target. If we could do that, make sure you're leaving a like on the video as you join, etc., etc. Yeah, so let's now move on to the Arsenal situation, which again I think is maybe the more interesting conversation. Arsenal obviously took us to the last day of the season last season. They have gotten better in respect of their squad. It's basically the exact same squad. They haven't sold anyone like major. Emil Smith Rowe, for example, not a major player. They have brought in Calafiori. Now I know I said I wasn't going to count a 6 for Liverpool, but this signing seems basically nailed on, Moreno. So I will include him in the squad for argument's sake. They've also got Timber coming back, who I know it's a cliche, but new signing, etc., etc. So Arsenal have gotten better. Musty asked the question, have Arsenal really strengthened that much? We will get into that, Musty, because I think that's a really interesting question. Because objectively, they have strengthened. If we think about what the team was, they had... so obviously Gabriel was there. The main upgrade, obviously, is the fact that I haven't even included Kiwi or here. The main upgrade is the fact that this guy, I assume, isn't going to be the main man at left back anymore, because not only do they have Timber back from injury, who is capable of playing at left back, they've also got this guy who impressed in the Euros and apparently impressed for Bologna. I don't claim to watch Bologna. So I do think that they have. I think that is a big upgrade. If we're to say, Zinchenko, Calafiori as a straight swap, for argument's sake, I think that's an immediate improvement. Or it might be, maybe Calafiori plays instead of Gabriel. Maybe you have Timber there. I don't know. There are options there. Just for the sake of argument, I'm just going to assume that Gabriel will still be keeping his starting place. So what we can do before we look at the attack, and I think that's really where this boils down to. One assumes, now again, I don't know exactly how they're going to settle. It might be something totally different, but I'm just trying to do it based off what we saw a lot of last season and what the squad makes and what the balance of the squad makes sense to do. So there's a lot of guesswork here, obviously, and won't be this rigid, etc. But you hopefully get a nice idea. I think that what will happen, essentially, is that we will see a similar situation. Like a back three of Gabriel, Saliba, and White. Although sometimes it wasn't quite always that, but you get what I mean. So that'll be the situation, and then whoever is that left back, whether it's Calafiori, whether it's Timber, I'm just going to use Calafiori here as an example. That player will do the John Stones inversion, even though it's not quite the John Stones inversion because they're going from full back to the midfield rather than centre back to the midfield. But you get what I mean. Now, again, before we look at the attack. Apparently, guys, it's a Super Cup tonight. I know Musty told me twice, but I keep forgetting. So if you guys want to update me on the score, you can do. I've got no interest in watching the game at all. But if you guys want to tell me, that's absolutely fine. Now, in terms of a defensive perspective, I think that might be, maybe, the best rest defence in world football. It's got a case for it, certainly. It's ridiculously defensively secure. A lot of it, I haven't seen enough of Calafiori, but I've been told that he's very similar to John Stones in terms of how he defends, in terms of how he advances into the midfield. So I'm going to put him on a bit of a pedestal here. But that's a ridiculously good defensive back five without the ball. We know how good Declan Rice is in terms of counter pressing. Not always higher up the pitch, to be fair. Now, I'm going to sneeze, am I? No, I'm not going to sneeze. I might sneeze. If I sneeze, I apologise. Arsenal have strengthened defensively, and we'll get into Mourinho in a second. But my point is this: if I'm just viewing it from a City perspective, and I'm viewing it from the perspective of how does this improve Arsenal's title chances and title ambitions? Obviously, it makes them more defensively solid, as we've discussed, because you got rid of Zinchenko. But defending wasn't really Arsenal's issue last season. In my opinion, the reason why Arsenal didn't win the title last season is because of goals. Now, you might say, oh, but Nobbins, they scored like only a couple goals less than City. So what do you mean? Like, they still scored like 90-odd goals. How can goals be an issue? It's not about overall goals scored or quantity of goals. It's about the concentration of those goals. There were 3 games last season where Man City failed to score in the Premier League. And those are the 2 games against Arsenal and the Villa game. And we lost 2 and drew 1 of those. Arsenal, on the other hand, failed to score in 5 games. 5 games they failed to score. Now, that might seem like a pretty small gap, 3 to 5. But when we're talking about winning the title and Pep's Manchester City, those margins matter, and suddenly not scoring in 5 games across a Premier League season isn't good enough. So the reason why that goals number is a bit deceptive is because there were so many games, especially towards the end of the season, where they would score 2 and then they would score 3, 4, 5. But they're largely they're technically irrelevant goals outside of upping the goal difference in respect of the game. That they are technically irrelevant, so it does sort of inflate that stat. As I say, I think what's more interesting and more valuable is looking at the concentration of those goals. So it's all well and good that they've upped their defense, of course. I'm not disputing that, and maybe from an even more solid defense, you are able to attack it more efficiently and more succinctly. I just don't think that on its own is enough to push Arsenal over the edge. Again, outside of City falling off a cliff or getting bad injuries, I personally don't think that's enough to push Arsenal over the edge. What could be, however, is changing the attacking dynamics. So we know that Saka and Odegaard are nailed on. Of course they are. It's probably going to be Martinelli, isn't it? So let's pop Martinelli out on the left. I don't know who the striker's going to be because Jesus has apparently been impressing, but I would guess that right now they'd be erring on the side of Havertz, and maybe Moreno is the main guy. Now, this is where it becomes interesting, because this brings a lot of debate about, well, where does Declan Rice play then? If Moreno's being signed as an 8, which I imagine that's what he's going to be, and if it's going to be this sort of setup, where does that leave Declan Rice? Because lots of people are saying this guy's not a 6 and he can't play there. He's not a defensive midfielder with the ball. I personally don't agree with that. I think that this is his best position. In my opinion, I understand that if he's higher up the pitch, he can therefore help more so in counter-pressing actions. That I appreciate that. That's absolutely fine. But I still think that fundamentally he is a defensive midfielder. He's a 6. I think that is his best position. I think this makes a lot more sense. I'm assuming Moreno, who is left-footed, is going to be the Granit Xhaka replacement. Now, the theory there is that Martinelli, who struggled last season, in fairness, and that was a lot down to his positioning, because Arteta tried to ask him to hug the touchline. City fans will know all about that, rather than actually just getting in the box, touching the box, and getting shots off. Maybe it's more of an interesting issue than just he needs the right left half space dynamics. Maybe it's also just the fact that the instructions were off a little bit. I'm not sure. So the question becomes: does having this player in Arsenal's midfield, does that push them over the edge? Because again, I'll repeat, I don't think that changing I'm not trying to undersell Arsenal's defence. I said many times last season, Arsenal were probably the best defensive side in the world. Certainly the best, out of possession defensive side, maybe even out of possession defensive side as well. So improving that, I don't know if that's necessarily the area that would scare me from a City perspective. It's more so the attack. And again, I'll repeat, maybe Moreno is that guy. Maybe he is the guy to restore those attacking dynamics. If you remember, last season, and this is where recency bias comes into play,
first half of the season, Arsenal were not good going forwards. There were some mental stats where they were like, I think they were ranked 13th in terms of what was it? In terms of open play, non-penalty XG, I think that's what it was. Like really low down, and so certainly not an elite level. As I say, I think it was around mid-table. That improved in the second half of the season. But this idea that Arsenal were fantastic offensively throughout the entire season it's just not correct. There is a potential for them to maybe fall back into that. It's not as simple as just, oh, we were perfect throughout the whole season and now one sign is going to make everything better. There were still some fundamental issues at play. Now, Arteta solved it by changing it slightly, by playing Rice in a slightly different role. But it might not just be as simple as just bringing in Moreno, and it's absolutely fine. I do think... I think they need another forward, to be honest. I know lots of people, Arsenal fans, love Havertz, and I think he's a good player and he proved his worth. But I just think that this Arsenal squad is lacking, outside of Saka, is lacking a proven, unbelievable, elite forward player. Martinelli's a great player, I think. I think Havertz is a good / great player, or certainly was towards the end of last season, was a great player. Jesus is one of those on those days players. But then you look at the midfield behind them. Odegaard is a fantastic footballer, but he is a little bit limited. There's no shame in this, but he's not a De Bruyne in terms of he's far more limited. He's in terms of what he can offer the side. I don't know enough about Moreno. Elder said that team lacks progressive passers, and maybe that is the case. Maybe there's not enough long space work in this side, and maybe that's where Arsenal will fall down ultimately. I personally, I've said this many times, I'm of the view that if City get their transfer business, how I think they should go about it, I'm of the view that there's nothing that Arsenal can do to catch City up, because I think that City were not great last season, but they still won the title. Whereas it was Arsenal's, was it their record points total, or maybe their best since the Invincibles, since the League Invincibles season, and they came second. So that from my perspective, there's a lot of ceiling still to go for the City side. Maybe the Arsenal side in its current form has reached its ceiling in terms of the relative points total it can accumulate. I don't think this Arsenal side can get mid to high 90s is what I'm trying to say. I think they could get low 90s. I think City could and should be getting mid to high 90s, like 95-ish, anywhere from like 95 to 98 points. Ultimate asks, are you going to look at how City should line up? We're going to be doing a City show tomorrow, Ultimate. So this new show, if you guys like it, is going to be focusing more so on the rivals through a City lens. GG says, apparently Moreno can't pass the ball that well. Aishi says, we're forgetting City were very weak last year. We need to improve. We're definitely not in the trenches. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Before a ball was kicked this season, if any side needed to improve in the title race between City and Arsenal, of course it was Arsenal, because they were behind us, and they were behind a City side which, in my opinion, underperformed relatively significantly. The question becomes, have Arsenal done enough as things stand? I'm giving them the credit of the doubt of assuming that signing is in. Moreno. I like the look of the rest defence. I'll say it again. Because it doesn't necessarily need to be this. It could be Timber in there. In fact, I think the end of the last game of the season, I think Timber played around here-ish, didn't he? If memory serves. So it could even be something like that. Like Timber could just be an out-and-out midfielder straight from the off. That could also be a thing. I think a lot will depend on where Arteta views Rice's future. Does he view him as someone who can only play as an 8 out of possession? Does he view him as someone who's a 6 out of possession? That is the question. Aishi says, I want a 100-point season with Doku and Savio. Hello, ZFB. You're wrong about Arsenal being at its ceiling already. It's a prediction. It's a guess, to be fair. And yeah, I can't safely talk about anyone's ceiling. Arsenal's left-hand side was literally non-existent. Indeed. So, but the question then becomes: is that enough? Is that enough? I don't know if it is. It might be. It very well might be. And Frank says Timber used to play midfield, and again, it could be that, and that might be enough. I just don't know if it is. I don't have enough evidence for it. Again, I've not seen Timber play outside of a game last season in the Community Shield. I've never seen Moreno play. I don't watch Real Sociedad, so I can't properly comment on him. This was certainly the area where Arsenal needed to improve, but I will repeat, I don't know if that is enough on its own. I still think that there might be room for improvement in this forward line. Saka, absolutely fine. Jury's still out of Martinelli, in my opinion. I can't quite put my finger on what I think his level is. I think he's a good player. I don't yet know if he's able to become a great player. We shall see. I know that Havertz has a very good use in this squad, and even Jesus. But again, I'm just looking at. I just really think that they could do with an elite forward just to add to the squad, just to give them that edge. Again, going back to what we were saying, Ari, those games, those five goalless games for Arsenal in the league where they weren't able to score. If they had, an equivalent of an Erling Haaland in that front line, could that have been the difference to get Arsenal over the edge? Maybe. Obviously, time will tell, and we shall see. But let me know what you guys think. Hello, Dave down the road says, Terry wants to know, is Arsenal scary to you? Well, of course. I mean, of course they're scary because this is a very good team. This is a brilliant team. Again, Arsenal have improved relative to last season. So, of course it's scary. But my main fear is that will City do enough? I'll say again, I think that if City sign... let's be very specific. If City sign Bruno Guimaraes, I personally don't think there's anything Arsenal can do. I don't think there's anyone within reason they can sign. Because, you're not going to say like Mbappe or whatever, are you? There's no one they can realistically sign, in my opinion, to catch City up, because that signing solves every single issue City have, in my opinion, to a large extent. It plugs that hole perfectly, and therefore I think that City side would get high 90s. I think it would be a return to a return to a truly great season. City have not been great the past 2 seasons. They've won the league. And that sounds... no, let me rephrase that, because we won the treble in one of those years. City have not been great from start to finish in a season since 21-22, I think. The treble-winning year was obviously wonderful, and it ended perfectly. And that last third of the season was, perfect. And I don't think I've ever seen an English side play like that, in its ruthlessness and in its efficiency and in its brilliance. But the first half of that season, the first 2/3 of that season, City were not that good. And it's the same thing last season. City were not that good throughout the first half, 2/3 of the season. I think we could have a return to form of 21-22 if we signed that player. Musty asks, who do you think we would get other than Bruno? Again, shout out to Near Post on Twitter. Go follow him if you haven't already done so. He suggests Palacios from Leverkusen. I don't know. Haven't watched enough Leverkusen. But he thinks he's good enough. So go get him. Why not? Because João Neves is gone. And Amadou Onana is gone. And it looks like we're not even going to get Bruno Guimaraes. So I'm running out of players who I looked at. I don't want to look at another player until it's confirmed now, because I feel like my heart would just be broken when I fall in love with them. I'm like, yes, he'd be perfect, and then we just don't get him. So there you go. Shout out Nerpos. He recommends Palacios. He did like a list, and I think he had like him as the 4th choice or something. So there you go. He's the 4th choice now. It's not just Sea Heaven says it's not just the players, it's the style. Arsenal have a very good style to get the ball high up the pitch. Like you said, Nobbins, lacking a 9. Yes. yes, can they be cutthroat in those crucial moments is the question, because we know that Arsenal's defence is sorted. They were the best side defensively in the league. They will need to, if they want to score more goals, they will need to open up a little bit more, and then maybe, is that where the defence comes under a bit closer scrutiny? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Pep was committing war crimes last season, and we still won it. Says Fuscan, yeah, it was absolutely insane. Are you worried that your... Franklin asks, are you worried your wingers couldn't get high GA, which forced a reliance... Sorry. Are you worried that your wingers won't get high GA, which would force a reliance on Foden? Oh, sorry, in terms of last season, and that's not replicable. Good question. I know this isn't really a City stream, but if you guys have got a question about City, we can still chat about them. Yes, so the good news is that Savio is a based on last season anyways, is a high GA winger. I think that I agree. I don't think Foden's going to get as many goals as last season. I think his assist numbers might up. I think that Foden should have, in terms of expected assists, he should have got, I think, 5 assists in the league from Haaland. I think he actually only ended up getting 1. A large part of that was due to Haaland's poor finishing last season. He still got a lot of goals, still won the Golden Boot, but his finishing was objectively poor last season. He underperformed in terms of what should have happened. So I actually think that what will happen next season is Haaland's goals will go up, or certainly his efficiency will go up, and that's maybe where that balance will be achieved. So I think Foden's goal numbers will go down, because you're absolutely right. You can't rely on Foden to score 6 goals from outside the box again in the league. It's not really... it's not fair to expect him to do that. I think Doku's productivity will go up. Hopefully Grealish's will. Hopefully a new signing will do that as well. But yeah, I think that there will certainly be enough goals and assists in the team, in my view. But yeah, so guys, that is the situation. Ari, our rivals. Is there anything else that you guys want to discuss, Ari, Liverpool or Arsenal, before I go sit down and we just have like a general Q&A for like the next, I don't know, 30 minutes or so? Do let me know. Do let me know. Yeah, Jack says, I'd be very surprised if Foden got close to 20 goals in back-to-back seasons. Yeah, it would be very tricky, wouldn't it? Yeah, and do also let me know, guys. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Are you enjoying this show? Let me know, because I appreciate they won't be as popular as pure City shows, but the point is we still need to keep an eye on our rivals. We need to view this through a City lens. So I think it is valuable to touch on rivals. So let me know if you any questions are in Liverpool, Arsenal. Let me know if you're enjoying this as a concept, and we'll keep doing it. Jason says, I feel Arsenal need a fast 8 on the right to partner with Saka. Saka can pass to the right, half space. I don't really understand why Odegaard's not been tried here. I don't quite know what that's all about, because he's got such a very heavy angle bias towards his left foot. I just think it would... I just think that naturally it would help him just to play on the left. I know he's got a nice connection with Saka. I'd just like to see him tried there. In fact, there was a game. I can't remember the game. There was a game where Odegaard kept picking up these positions in the left half space, and he absolutely rinsed the opposition. So, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd maybe like to see that given a go. And then how would that set up in respect to the rest of the team? I guess then you'd maybe play Rice slightly advanced, or you could play Timber there, maybe. I actually think that, looking at it now, I think that is a better team than the switcheroo with Odegaard and Merino. I think that looks more like a fun and interesting team. I've been told that Timber can play here, so I'm going to assume he can play here. What's that? Oh, was that the one, Elder? Thank you. Yes, so if memory serves, he absolutely cooked the opposition. Maloppa says, do Liverpool have another 6 in mind after getting rejected by Zubimendi? Well, I heard the rumour today that they apparently went back in for him, so I don't really know what's going on there. From a City perspective, I hope they don't sign anyone, of course. It seems inevitable they must sign someone. I'm pretty sure they haven't signed anyone. They've got to sign someone, surely. Arsenal are linked with Bruno. Erdegaard does drift into that left half space, but that drops quality on the right. ZFB, I really hope you don't get Bruno. It's quite funny, isn't it? Well, it's not that. I was going to say surprising, but it's not that surprising because City and Arsenal are very similar sides, so they would be after similar players. Bruno would be perfect for you guys. He'd be perfect for us as well. I know that there was a lot of Kimmich talk. I don't like the idea of Kimmich at City, but I'll tell you what, Kimmich makes a lot of sense at Arsenal from a midfield perspective. I think that would actually be a really perfect signing for Arsenal. Narmbred says, I'm yelling timber. Absolutely. Hello, Knitting. City's left themselves in a bad situation, now dictated by the seller club. It is a disaster. It is a disaster if we're after Bruno Guimaraes in particular. I totally agree with that point. But yeah, this is, someone asked me if I'm scared of Arsenal. Of course I am. This is a team which can win the title. Of course it can. But I don't think it can win the title if City are on form. Again, I always come back to this. For me, it depends on what will City do. If City are on form, I think there's one, maybe two positions which need to be upgraded from an Arsenal perspective. I mentioned the elite forwards. There might even need to be like a midfield upgrade in there as well. But time will tell, and we shall see. I think we don't need the tactics board anymore, so I'm now going to head over there. So come and join me over there. Stay with me, guys. Oh, yes, and we're back. Hello, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We're still live, don't worry. We are still out here. If Arsenal get Bruno, Chicken needs a sacking. That would be absolute hell if that did happen. I agree. Again, guys, please give me some feedback. Are you enjoying this stream? Do you like the idea of us doing a weekly one of these? Touchline Talk won't go anywhere where we focus solely on City, but do you like the idea of doing a rival rundown every week? I might even get guests on. Who knows? I might get a Liverpool fan to talk about Liverpool, etc. But again, please give me feedback. If you hate it, say you don't like it. If you like it, tell me you like it so I know whether to do this again. If you're watching on Twitter, by the way, I can't see your comments on Twitter. So if you want to get involved in the chat, you will need to come over to the YouTube. Just an FYI. After Rice, if Bruno also goes to Arsenal, I'll have a raised eyebrow. The annoying thing is, like, this. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. This is more like a general Q&A bit now. So if you've got any questions on anything, feel free to let me know. What was I going to say there? Yeah. The most annoying thing for me is that we keep getting these links going, oh, City are interested in X player. And they're keeping tabs on Bruno Guimaraes and they think he would be interested to join. Well, why don't you sign him then or put a bid in? It's very frustrating because as far as I'm aware, City have not made a formal offer for him. And I just don't get it. Why we interested in FC or scouting FC or contemplating FC? Just the player is there. We all know that is what we need. Make it so. So there we go. That is a thing. Do you think Arsenal actually need a new... Sorry. Do you think Arsenal don't need a striker, but instead they just need to break down low blocks better, improve that, and just play... And maybe that's where an elite midfielder comes in. And I did say, if Moreno can offer that, then he offers that, and I'll hold my hands up. But I don't have enough of a sample size on Moreno to comment on that. My initial instinct would be that, yeah, you shouldn't really use price to properly judge a player, but it's not like they're breaking... I try to say splashing the bank then. Splashing the cash, breaking the bank for this player. So that would suggest that he's not maybe the absolute elite game changer that they might need, but at the same time, could be. Calafiori is definitely attractive, GG, absolutely. Not sure about Soboslai for me, though. To be honest. Good title insights, thank you, Ayushi. If you guys like this, then again, I'll try to do that. Our small squad just got smaller. Yeah, it's incredibly upsetting, isn't it, Andrew? Hello, Johnny John.
I need to know if you're FSG in or out before I subscribe to this channel. It's very important you tell me now. Well, I'm not a Liverpool fan, Johnny John. So I guess I'm FSG in from that perspective. But if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd probably be FSG out because you can clearly spend more money than you have done over the past 7 years. You've obviously spent money, but you clearly can spend more. So that'll be my conclusion. But again, I'm not a Liverpool fan. I really like what you are doing, Justin. Thank you, Justin. I know MacMan, it's very upsetting. Oh, Goal Machine! Thank you so much. You're the first ever person to activate the Haaland printer on YouTube. Oh my goodness me. Now then. Apparently, I didn't realize it works with Super Chats. It works with Super Chats as well. Thank you so much for that, Goal Machine. I'll come back to everyone else's comments in a moment. And it gets printed out here as well. In fact, shall we go, Shall we go to my camera there? You can't hear me for some reason. That's very annoying. Anyway, hi. We're trying to do stuff on the fly here. Will it go over here? Will it work? No, it won't. Well, there we go. Thank you, Goal Machine, for your super chat. Not solid at the back and no Rodri backup. Could that be a problem for City this season? Thank you so much for your super chats. If you become a member, it should. If you become a member, it should do it. Oh my goodness. What's this? Oh, please don't do Twitch stuff, guys. Like it's gonna confuse me. Please don't do that. Thank you. Right. Anyway, but I got distracted then. Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much for the super chat, Goal Machine. Who says not solid at the back and no Rodri back. Could that be a problem for City this season? Absolutely, it could. We all know the Rodri situation. I do think City are solid at the back, to be fair, though. As long as Walker doesn't start. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, Goal Machine. Genuinely, really appreciate it. Hello, Jay, a Man City fan moaning about signing, suffering from success. Well, again, this is the fallacy of relative pain, because pain is relative. Yes. I know what City needs. I know where City's goals are. I know that City want to win the title. I'm therefore approaching it from a team which wants to win the title. I want my team to be in the best position to win the title. And we can't, in my opinion, do that without the signing. So yeah, I take your point. Hello, Sam. As an Arsenal fan, get well soon. Oscar Bob was really excited for him this season. Yeah, absolutely, Sam. It's genuinely horrible. I feel like it's definitely worse when it's a, it's definitely worse when it comes to Village. Do that, Village, and you'll get banned. Just an FYI. I'm not joking around here. Just an FYI. You have been warned. No, we're not doing this. Yeah, I feel like it's worse when it's a young player, and especially he was literally on the brink of being a first teamer, like a consistent first teamer, and now it's genuinely, it's just, I'm actually distraught because I love Oscar Bob. I think he's such a fantastic player. It really, yeah, I got quite emotional when I heard the news, to be honest. I was really sad. True in Plain Sight says Arsenal need a proper number 9. You guys have won nothing under Arteta besides the FA Cup. No point in hanging onto a manager who is just playing for top 4. I agree that certainly an elite forward is needed. The player thingy is ready now. If someone joins as a member now, it should print out a random footballer. If someone wants to test that and become a member, you can click the join button or click the link in the pinned comment. If someone would like to do that, you can do that. Hopefully it'll work anyway. I'm not guaranteeing it will work, but it should do. I'm not watching Super Cup. No. Sam says, I'm hoping City lose motivation. You know, I've seen this, so I'm glad you said I'm hoping, but it's not going to happen. This is a very lazy point. It seems to come out every single season. Oh, City won't have the hunger for it now. and they're not got the ambition. They've won everything. What else is there to do? But we know that this isn't. We know this isn't a thing. There was genuine complacency was an issue once for City. That was in the treble-winning year in around January, basically. And when Pep said, "I don't recognise my team," was it February? I don't know. He said, "I don't recognise my team." That was the only instance where it happened. That tiny little period. And then obviously City did everything, and there was no sign of that last season. I don't think complacency is a thing, to be honest, in respect of this City team. Cannot become a member for some reason. The reason is to test out the print the footballer thing. Yeah, because it supports me. Have you also got the Super Cup game on? Can't watch. I want to hear how this new Mbappe Madrid side looked. Now, I've not got it on at all, Will, to be honest. I have no interest in the game, to be honest with you. Liverpool have won silver in FSG, Premier League. Arsenal will boss it under Arteta again this coming season. We shall see. I don't think they bossed it last season, in fairness. I think the season before they certainly did. Last season, though, they didn't. Franklin says, you don't get 100 points to a 4-pit into a treble and your manager can't keep motivating your team. Yeah, exactly. Like, and like Walker, you know, I know he does a lot of interviews, but he is right when he says, why not? What's the thing to do now after you've won 4 in a row? Let's do 5 in a row. That's absolutely the right mentality to have. I totally agree. Dave says, we speak about Chelsea or United, they are City's rivals. Not unless they become like actual threats, to be honest. You know, maybe in like the no Village, I don't want you to. Maybe like, let's say the game at the Etihad in the build up to it, maybe we can like discuss it potentially. But I don't really want to start doing previews on this channel, to be honest. I don't really like predictive analysis. I know I've just done a lot of that there, so I'm a massive hypocrite. But yeah, for the most, I don't really want to do like weekly previews. Although we will be talking about United every single week, because from next week, hopefully, the Knobcast will be making a return where it's me, obviously a City fan, and my Man United friend Gasky will be talking about. There's the pillar for it, by the way. The Knobcast. We'll be talking about City and United, and it is genuinely really interesting to hear about City through a United fan's lens. So even if you're not interested in the United section, you should be, because again, it's interesting to view United stuff through a City lens. It will really be worth a watch, guys, so do make sure to join me. The first one of those will be on Tuesday evening. We're going to try to do them either Tuesday evening or Tuesday mornings, depending on Gasky's work schedule. So make sure to join me for that, guys. Make sure to join me for that. You don't want to hurt Gasky's feelings. Are we not turning up? Mr. Charity Show, what were your thoughts on Nico O'Reilly? He looks like a youth player. No issues there. He is a youth player. He was up against a very experienced Man United midfield. I don't want to say out of his depth because that sounds harsh, but it was very apparent that he was a young footballer. So and there's no shame in that. You know my thoughts on Bruno Guimaraes. I love him. Can't wait to see you do a video titled "Difference Between Pep Football versus Diet Football." Tony! Thank you so much, Tony. As you can see, the Haaland printer is working. I don't know if we're going to make it work with Super Chats because I feel like there's enough stuff going on the Super Chat. But thank you so much, Tony. Let's go over. I feel like it's worth it. Thank you so much, Tony. As I say, love you. You know that. Super chat from Tony. 200 Norwegian kroner, which is nearly 20 pounds. It's incredibly generous, Tony, as always. You're far too generous. Thank you so much. Frankie de Jong used Alvarez money on his salary and the medical bills. Genius. Thank you so much, Tony. That genuinely means the world. Frankie de Jong would actually be really fun. Be a really fun option. As you've discussed, the issue is one of salary, maybe even injuries. But in respect of profile, I think that would be a really, really fun signing. Thank you so much, Tony, again. Massive supporter of the channel. The biggest supporter of the channel, literally. Just ridiculous support, as always. Thank you so much, Tony. It's so cringe. How dare you say it's cringe? Yes, indeed, it is awesome as well. My top 4 prediction. I'd say we might discuss that on the podcast next week, actually, Jay. PlayStation not even started for, but again, Nitin, I'm not. I clearly preface that by saying I've not watched Leverkusen, so I don't know enough about them. Someone who I respect in Near Post on Twitter, again, go follow him if you haven't already done so, has suggested him as an option. Therefore, I'm saying that could be an option. It's not my choice. My choice is Bruno. I think Near Post's first choice was João Neves, so we did disagree there, but my second choice was João Neves. I think his second choice was Bruno. So, again, if he's suggesting him as an option, as far as I'm concerned, that endorsement is enough. So this is your first time on the channel, Truth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I believe you support Liverpool, did you say? Again, we obviously do mainly City content here, but I'll repeat, I do want to start doing one weekly show where we discuss City's rivals, whoever that, and maybe Chelsea will surprise us. Maybe United will surprise us. And maybe they will become our rivals, in which case the vibe will change. We won't really pay attention to them, etc. There we go. It's a human nature motivation decreases. Absolutely, Sam, but in human nature, in the state of nature, shout out Thomas Hobbes, there is no Pep Guardiola. There is no bald man demanding excellence from you every single day. If anyone thinks that Pep Guardiola, in what could be his last season, is going to settle for complacency, especially when you've got such a competitive squad, it's not a thing. If like Doku gets complacent, it's like, well, you get sacked off, mate, because Savio, a new signing, is right there who wants to prove himself. And you've got academy players like Bob and Lewis and McAtee and O'Reilly who are desperate to prove themselves for a club they love. I don't think the complacency comes into it, to be honest. We've got players who are, you've just got the right mentality, and we've got the manager with the right mentality as well. You should switch camera before the print comes out. But you see the printer coming out. That's literally it happening. You can. That's the whole point of that pop-up. You can see the hauling printer. City tweet, Rodri's back. That's huge, Andrew. Big up. Why don't you like predictive analysis? Just curious, as Dave. Just because, again, no shades to anyone who does that. By the way, if you do predict, and like, it can be fun, but I think my main issue with it is when someone says something like before a game, and then maybe that thing happens, and then they go, "See, I told you so." For me, there's a lot of guesswork in terms of predict. Obviously, with prediction, of course, there's guesswork. You could train a whole week in order to deal with a Pep Guardiola side, and you think that they're going to set up in their normal shape they've been setting up all season, but then Pep might throw a spanner in the works and go, or anyone might throw a spanner in the works and go, actually, we're going to play like this in a totally different manner on a whim, just because, or just because I think it's the correct thing to do. So that's why I don't really place much value in it personally. I see it as like looking into a crystal ball almost, because you don't know what's in these managers' heads. Even like Premier League coaches don't know what is in another Premier League coach's head. So that's why I don't really see much value in it. Again, if people want to do that, absolutely fine, and I will do it sometimes because it can be fun. But for the most part, I do prefer post-match analysis. I think it's a little more valuable. I think you can learn more from post-match stuff than pre-match stuff. Again, that's just an opinion. I'm not having to go at anyone for doing that, because anyone can do anything they want. That's a good point. Well, and that's a very good point, because Pep speaks about this. He will always rotate his side, even when players like Sterling was not done as a footballer at City, but he moved him on. That's an example. Leroy Sané wasn't done, but he was moved on. I know they wanted to leave, etc. But you see what I mean? Pep will always change things in that way, and we just seem to recruit hungry players as well. I know, Staffy, I'm just being cheeky. Just being cheeky. Palmer got 2 more G8 than Foden in the Euros in the 8th of the minute, says Jill. No. Indeed. How much will De Bruyne play? Will he break his own assist record? What is the possibility of a fit De Bruyne? I think that we will see he will play more minutes than last season because he missed half the season last season, bar another injury. But we are going to see a season where we should conserve and reserve his minutes if we can. No disrespect, but if we are at home against like Ipswich, is that a game De Bruyne must start? In my opinion, no. I think you could get away with starting Foden and another midfielder, whoever that may be, or another system or whatever. I don't think that De Bruyne has to start every single game. He should start every single big game if available, of course. There's a big difference between starting every single game and starting every single big game. We saw that in terms of Alvarez's issues with last season. Alvarez played in more games than any other City player last season in the league, and he got 4th most minutes of any City player last season. But he wasn't happy with the games he was playing. I think that De Bruyne would be happy to take a backseat in games which aren't as important or as tricky, but for the big boy games, easy man. That's why I think Ari the Kevin situation. Ken, thank you so much, Goal Machine. It's all go here. Thank you so much again. Incredibly generous, Goal Machine. This is your second super chat. That's £10 you spent on me. Just make sure you're looking after yourself. But thank you so much, mate. And in fact, I'm going to say this. I'm getting a takeaway tonight because I'm annoyed and upset at the Oscar Bob injury. And I need comfort food. So thank you, Goal Machine. You have paid for my food tonight. You are literally feeding me. Thank you so much. Look at me as your child. You have fed your child. I want to start making content. Wonderful. What tactics board should you use? There are many free tactic board options. Tacticboard.com is the best one, to be honest. It's the best free option. It's easy to use. Looks all right. And it does the job. That would be my suggestion. Rants. I just need clarification as to who that is, Jason. Rant said, De Bruyne has lost his dribbling ability as years have gone by. I kind of agree. I mean, he's not as explosive as he once was, but to say he's lost his dribbling ability, I'm not convinced. Please make sure to leave a like on the stream, by the way, guys. It does really help me out. I've been very happy with the numbers, considering that there's obviously a Super Cup game going on. And I know that LB was streaming earlier, so thank you guys for supporting me. It is really funny, isn't it? And again, that I might change it to not activate on Super Chats because we've already got lots of Super Chat stuff. But it will activate on memberships is the main thing I want it to activate on. Or gifted memberships as well. I think that will also make it work, or it should do anyway. Oh, Rantman, I know I have heard of him, to be fair. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree. Indeed, Scottish City fan. Hopefully, he'll be okay in the near future. Guys, is there anything else that we would like to discuss before I wrap up the stream here? Because we have been live for over an hour. Do let me know. We will be back tomorrow, and tomorrow I want to discuss the Oscar Bob injury, and I mainly want to discuss how will it impact City, and what does it mean in terms of minutes, basically. What players will fill those gaps, etc. Etc. But that'll be tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow evening because I'm with my family and Nana tomorrow. Yes. Let me know. I will be discussing that tomorrow. But let me know now if you've got anything else you'd like to discuss. I'm just going to be ordering a Jay, to an extent, only so much as I can do, Jay, because I don't claim to watch any slot ball, so I'm totally going off what others have told me. But yes, Jay, if you go to the start, we started with Liverpool, and then we moved into Arsenal, and now this is the post thing where we're just having a general chilled out Q&A. So yes, Jay, we're talked about Liverpool, do I think there'll be a title rival? What do they need to do? How might they play, etc. Yes, if you would like to do more Liverpool stuff, would recommend going to the start of the stream. You guys have told me that you like this stream as a concept, so I will do it again. I will do it again. But I think, guys, is there anything else anyone else wants to say? Otherwise, I will sign off and I will end the stream. I'm gonna get popcorn chicken, by the way, for my meal tonight. Again, shout out to Tony and Goal Machine for the super chats. You have literally paid for my food tonight, my comfort food in the wake of that awful Oscar Bob injury. I need my comfort. I need my food. I am morbidly obese, guys. Respect me. Respect me. Yes. You better. You had better. Yeah, anything else, guys, or are we good? If not, I will love you and leave you, and I will Jack and Nitin having a chat about Palacios. Again, don't know nothing about him. If we get a proper link to him, I will scout him out, and you can expect a video on that. If we sign someone, guys, I'll do another analysis video. But until we do that, I can't do an analysis video. So I probably do need to have a think about what the content I want to do throughout the season in terms of normal videos, but there we go. GG, this will be our final question, I think, unless anyone else has got anything else to say. How far would City go in the Champions League if we sign Bruno Guimaraes? Well, we'd put ourselves in the best possible position we could be, because as far as I'm concerned, that would complete the squad. Why couldn't we win it? To be honest, you've got basically, you've got large distance passers, you've got brilliant ball carriers, you've got brilliant ball strikers, a long pace and short pace wingers, an unbelievable rest defense. By the way, if you think of if just for now, let's say that we're swapping in Kovacic for Bruno, that is ridiculous in terms of defensive solidity. And Bruno's just basically an improved version of Kovacic in nearly every single facet of the game, but has more aspects to his game. So he's an all-phase midfielder, is Bruno Guimaraes. In case you couldn't tell, guys, I fancy that man, and I want him to play for my football club. But we'll see if that happens. Again, I'm having a fat feed tonight, guys. Again, I can't. I need comfort. Sorry, Truth. I apologize. I asked you the question earlier. You may have put it. Remind me who you support. I think you said Liverpool, but do correct me. Alvarez possibly could be a big loss for City. Incredible player and still under 24. Nice designer player in his mold. Could be one of the best in years to come. Pep don't want him to leave. We actually did a whole stream about do City need to replace Alvarez, etc. I agree, could be a big loss, but my conclusion was actually that City will be fine without replacing Alvarez directly. I would much rather we sign a player who can do that job, but doesn't necessarily isn't isolated to only one aspect of the game and one role, one position, which is what Alvarez was. We tried him in midfield, didn't work. So I actually don't know how much of a loss it'll be. In terms of direct output, of course. But I see Haaland's numbers going up. I see, obviously, De Bruyne being available for a whole season. His numbers going up. Savio is a GA player. Doku, I think his numbers will also go up. Guys, we're going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, I think for a trial stream, this has gone really, really well. We've even got more non-City fans here, which is exactly what I want. I do want to widen the channel to not just City fans. I want everyone to feel like they are welcome here, and that I don't. Of course, I want to focus on City, but I would like to occasionally, and I appreciate this will always be a City-focused channel, but I do want other fans to feel like they aren't just being bombarded by purely City content. Even if we are viewing their club through City eyes, I think it is valuable for those fans to think. If you're an Arsenal fan, what does a City fan think about my team's chances? What do they think about that game last week? I think that is a valuable thing. I'll be back tomorrow at late 10 p.m, guys. Liverpool since 1990. Love that from you, mate. I hope to see you on future streams, my man. Tomorrow we'll be doing Touchline Talk, 10 p.m. It will be a City-focused stream. It will be a Q&A as always. If you've got any questions about anything, it doesn't have to be football. But the main thrust will be the Oscar Bob situation, how do City cope, etc., etc. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Once again, shout out to Goal Machine and Tony for your incredibly generous super chats. If you want to support the channel, become a member by clicking the pinned message or the join button. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.